know what you're thinking. These stairs are in desperate need of an upgrade. That intro is from the previous video in getting these stairs prepared to put on the new treads. What we had to do is firm up the stairs and get rid of any flex in them prior to putting down the new treads with construction adhesive. So I'll put the link to that below, and in this video I'm going to just do a step-by-step in tearing all the old tiles off and getting them prepared for the new treads and the installation of those. We're done. What I did was took the Sawzall and I had to just come in on these boards about an inch and then finish off there where the circular saw couldn't get. So there's all the edges. The run and riser is now flush. Where's my hand? There it is. It's all flush. I'll just clean that all up with a chisel so it's a nice clean edge, and then vacuum it all up. Okay, what I have here is some sawdust and some shavings from cutting these stairs, and I'm just going to put some just normal white glue in and make some wood filler. It's much cheaper and just repurposing what I just created. My uncle, who was a farmer, taught me this. He said, if you're ever trying to match the color of something that you've just sanded, or you've just made yourself, you can do that by taking the sawdust from it and mixing some simple white glue in, and it will match color perfectly. In this case, I don't need to match it. I'm going to paint over and fill in any of the gaps. Okay, before we start cutting any treads, we have to make a stair jig, or I decided to make a stair jig instead of measuring back and forth, and transferring all those measurements onto the tread and guessing. You make a stair jig and you'll see for each step if there's any variance in the side walls. The distance you can do with a measuring tape. It's going to be lengthwise, that's fine, but side to side you want to have as little gap as you can. In the end, you don't want to be using trim and something like that and bulking up the stairs. You just want to put a little bead of caulking and just clean up that line. So this is my first attempt at making a jig, and it has a couple of design flaws, which I'll just point out. I'll show you exactly where I found the fault, and then I'm just gonna make it another one, and I'll show you what I'm gonna change. Okay, so as you can see, this goes expands lengthwise, and it will swivel to meet whatever variation we have in the step. And I put a flat edge so we can put right to the back if wanted. So I do that and I tighten it. Then I will flex this one out, or expand this one out, and make sure it matches any variance that way. And it's captured exactly any variance that's in the side supports and side walls, so the tread will be cut exactly to that shape. Problem is, the way I've designed it, I have a huge gap here, and how am I going to scribe that line to the step without having any sort of any variance there? So I'm going to have to rethink this and put, I think, this part that swivels on the bottom, and I'm going to actually use a piece of masonite here that's nice and thin, and I'll have it do the same, perform the same function as this, but I'm going to use actually 2 bolts so that I can fix it side to side, so when I pull it out of here, and if it ever, you know, with one I risk having it move like this on me, so with 2 bolts it'll be stronger and resist that. So I'll manufacture that and get to scribing all the stairs. Tighten those and make sure there's no real gap on either side. Looks to be a teeny one there, so I'll just loosen this a little bit. And there we go. Okay, so I'll take this out to the kick plate and scribe the lines, and then we'll cut them. Okay, so I'll line up the bottom corners. We know that that's the top, so the bottom is going to be flush. Do that on both sides, and then I'll just mark where the cuts will go. And that should match the rise exactly. Okay, there's one other thing I have to mention. I on the pie shape, on the stairwell that turns as it goes up, you can't use that stair jig. So what I decided to do is just make some templates, and essentially I just took a square piece of cardboard, and you want to use cardboard so you can actually trace that on the stairs, or on the new treads. And I just set it down here, and I'd fold it over, and I probably folded and marked lines and cut this, had it in and out of here probably 20 times before I was happy with the result. But I made a exact template of each step before I'm starting, right in place. And with all of these, you can see there is a variance every step. But I'd rather make a mistake on a 50-cent piece of cardboard from the dollar store than the $22 stair tread. And so I guess we're on to the next step, actually cutting the treads. On these pie-shaped steps, I have to use more than one tread. So what I've done is I've put some tape and I've marked a line where I'm going to drill a hole, and on that mark I'm going to put dowel between them, so if they ever flex, they're going to move together. Okay, in an attempt to be completely candid on these videos, and I wanted to let you know about a mistake I made. After everything's said and done, I can't believe I did this. It's such a simple mistake, but it's a huge mistake. I was on the very last step in putting the treads on, and that's just to caulk all the way around. And basically you caulk to make sure that there's no dark lines when you look at the stairs, and everything is nice and clean from the tread to the wall, and to get rid of all those gaps. Well, I was getting the caulking, and there was a guy next to me, and he was reaching across, and I was like, oh, I'll get out of his way, and I grabbed the caulking. Without realizing it, I grabbed clear. It's so small on these. I don't know why they don't just make it. I'm not going to show the company because I don't want to give them any business. I'm so annoyed with them for this. Why don't they just put clear, massive? They use, 3-color print. Make it the yellow. Make it something that stands out. Well, they didn't, and I bought clear. It goes on white, so I thought when I was done, Friday night, I was done showing off to my wife, and like, look at how great everything looks. This is amazing. I woke up the next day, and it was like I haven't caulked it at all. And now I'm like, what am I gonna do? Scrape it all out? Do what to do? Well, luckily, clear, it dried in a way where it sunk in and it recessed. So now I can easily go over it with a really fine line of white. And I made sure this time when I went back to the store, I got white. So that's my big mistake, and I hope it saves someone else the headache. I will do a really clean job, and hopefully when it's done you won't even notice, but I'll be candid as well on that end and show you exactly how it turns out in the end.